Well, it's a beautiful day here in southern Alabama, and welcome back. I am Gabe from Our Simple Story. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing and giving my initial impressions on the Camillus Adventure Pack. And I picked this up at my local Walmart. I'm kind of a sucker for those kind of deals, I guess you could say. Although my expectations are generally a little bit low when it comes to these kinds of products, especially because they are made in, you guessed it,
China.
I prefer a knife. If I'm going to spend the money, something that's utmost quality that my grandchildren will experience and be able to enjoy and use. And I'm sad to say that this is likely just not one of those knives. So let's talk about number one, the 18-in-1 multi-tool. This is supposed to have 18 tools in it. We've got, some kind of hex bit here. We've got different hex bits. These are all, I think ranging from 3mm up to like 8mm if I'm not mistaken. You've got a Phillips head and you've got a flathead screwdriver. I can tell you right off the bat that flathead screwdriver is just not going to cut it. You've got a bottle opener, and that's about it. That's about it that I can see that is useful. And it's got a little lanyard to hold here in the top. Now, typically what I would do is just take something like this, throw it in my kitchen junk drawer, and it might see the light of day once a year or so. Okay, let's move on to the entrenching tool here. This is patterned after your, U.S. government-issued entrenching tool. This is clearly not a mil-spec entrenching tool, or definitely does not have the quality and durability of that. This whole handle here assembly is solid plastic. There is steel running through this part of the handle, and then you have a plastic locking nut here. It has two different positions it can lock in. You've got your straight position, and then you've got your more pickaxe type position. I'm going to take you down the hill here in just a moment and kind of test this out and show you. Pros of this is it's lightweight. I like the color. This kind of coyote brown is a nice color. It does have a serration here, but that serration is definitely not sharp enough to do any damage or saw through a branch or anything like that. But if you need something for light usage, I would say this shovel might do the trick. All right, next we're going to move on to the initial impressions of the knife. This is again, Camillus fixed blade knife. Let's get out of the sheath here and talk about my initial impressions. You've got a coyote brown and black handle. It's a rigid polymer handle. There's no flex to it whatsoever. Ergonomically speaking, it fits a little bit too slim in my hand than what I would prefer. It's got some ridges on the back here for better gripping. It's got a lanyard hole in the rear pommel side of the handle. Working our way up to the top here, it's got kind of a nice hand guard to prevent any kind of slipping up on the blade. It's got a partial serration on the blade, so this would not work well for those who like to do kind of bushcrafting stuff. And it's got a nice edge on it with your typical saber grind. And then we've got, it looks like maybe a factory defect there on the back of the blade. Some grinding off of the blade there. But overall, it's got a good balance, got a pretty good weight to it. In many of my videos, I torture test my knives for you guys to see, and many times I destroy them. This is not going to be one of those videos, but don't worry, we will have more of those videos in the near future. Let's talk about the sheath real quick. The sheath is made out of plastic as well. I think they're trying to pattern it after kind of the Mora, at least the Mora 511 type sheaths with the plastic, with the compression kind of fitting here. But yeah, it's one of the cheaper aspects of this adventure pack. It's got a clip-on system here. You can clip it onto your pants. or the side of a backpack or whatever. And then it's got a slot here for your ferro rod. One of the things I was a little bit weary of with this knife is whether or not it would actually hold the knife in place once gravity kicks in. But it seems like once it clips in place, if you listen here, you can actually hear it clipping. Once it clips in place, it seems like that knife is not going to go anywhere. And actually, it seems as a sheath to be holding a lot better than the Mora 511 sheath did. If you haven't seen that video where I torture test a Mora 511, I'll put a card up for you to click on. The Mora 511 is arguably the best knife I have found for the money. It's a great, great knife. So next in our items here in our adventure pack is a little ferro rod. It's about 3 inches long. It's got a little lanyard. And the ferro rod stows nicely up into the sheath here. And it too clips in place. You can kind of hear it if you listen. And it's in there pretty good. You might consider go ahead and cutting this lanyard off if you were to buy this a knife, because if that were to get snagged on something as you're walking through the brush, it might go ahead and pull your ferro rod out. But it seems like just with gravity and maybe shaking it, that ferro rod's it's in there pretty good. Oh, there we go. I'm actually impressed by its ability to hold the knife in. Whether or not this sheath will be able to contain this knife over the course of a couple of years is yet to be seen, obviously. But just my initial impressions. That's what this video is all about. Is my initial thoughts on this knife. I'm moderately impressed with it so far. Unfortunately, these products are made in China, and like I said, don't think that they will be heirlooms that my grandchildren will see and have and use. But are they something that might be a great gift, an affordable gift for somebody who's maybe learning how to care for a knife, learning how to use a knife? Yeah, I think absolutely they would be. I just wish some of these products could be manufactured in the U.S., obviously. Camillus used to be a U.S.-based company until they were bought by Acme Corp. I think in the early 2000s they experienced bankruptcy, and they've since been bought out by Acme, and all of their products then began to get manufactured over in China. I suppose we have a lot of different factors to thank for that here in the United States of America. We'd love to see some of these things come back. But I would, if I were you and I was looking for a knife that I was going to pass down to my children and my grandchildren, and it be an heirloom knife, which is, I think, a really important thing to do and really valuable tradition to carry on, I would not buy this. It might survive, obviously, if you just put it on a shelf and your grandchildren receive it. But that's not the legacy I would want to leave. Anything I would say less than $60 or $70 is not going to get you kind of an heirloom knife that you're going to use the rest of your life and then pass down. This you might use for a couple of years and then something's going to give out on it. But guys, this is just an initial impression video. Like I said, it's not a torture test like I do with a lot of my other knives. But I'll put a link down below. I'll put a link to the playlist where you can see all those previous torture tests. They are a lot of fun to make and very enlightening when it comes to the quality of knives and how they're made. But if you don't mind, consider hitting that thumbs up button and subscribe button on your way out. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep it real. Wow, what is that? Oh my goodness, what are those things?